is a revolutionary technology that enables a new way to send payments over the internet. You can think of it as an open accounting system where thousands of computers all over the world work together to track ownership of digital tokens called bitcoins. When you send someone bitcoins, the transaction is broadcast to the entire network. After it's verified, it's recorded in a public ledger called the blockchain. The blockchain contains a record of every Bitcoin transaction that has occurred since the system began, and it's shared and maintained on the network, so everyone keeps the books, so to speak. Most currencies are issued by a central authority that controls the money supply. Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer system, so there is no central authority. Instead, Bitcoins are issued to users who help process transactions in the network. This is known as Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin miners are specialized computers that do the work required to verify and record transactions in the blockchain. As a reward for their work, the miners earn Bitcoins, and this is how new Bitcoins are released into circulation. The system is programmed so that only 21 million Bitcoins will ever exist, and as time goes by, the mining reward decreases. The result is a predictable supply that's governed by scarcity, making Bitcoin somewhat like a digital gold. It's the first currency of the internet, and everyone is free to use it. With Bitcoin, you can send any amount of money to anyone, anywhere in the world, as easily as sending an email.
You guys can start one without me. I'll be like 5 minutes max, maybe like 2 or 3.
My brother Nick is a filmmaker. After hearing me talk about Bitcoin incessantly for months, we decided to start documenting things.
Hey, I don't think we'll need the small camera.
Can't hurt.
No, I'd rather sleep it behind. I have so much equipment. You mind?
Damn, you really cramped it up, huh?
Not that bad. What do you mean? Jeez. Dude, they're in there. They're right in the back right there.
I was convinced that Bitcoin was going to be huge, and I knew there were a lot of others like me out there.
Zip my keys in my pocket so I don't forget them later.
Bitcoin was created by what's believed to be a pseudonym, a guy named Satoshi Nakamoto.
Invented in 2009 by a fictitious person named Satoshi Nakamoto.
On Halloween 2008, someone using the name Satoshi Nakamoto posted on a cryptography mailing list. I've been working on a new electronic cash system that's fully peer-to-peer with no trusted third party. The post contained a link to a white paper in which Satoshi proposed a new type of payment system for the internet. It described a protocol that used peer-to-peer networking, proof of work, and public key cryptography. For years, computer scientists had been experimenting with these technologies to create digital money. But Satoshi discovered a way to combine them that had never been done before. In doing so, he invented Bitcoin. There are no records of Nakamoto's existence prior to the creation of Bitcoin. On his profile page, he claimed to be a 34-year-old man living in Japan. Although Satoshi Nakamoto is a Japanese name, he wrote in perfect English when communicating online and went through great lengths to keep his identity unknown. Nonetheless, programmers and cryptographers all across the world recognized the brilliance of Satoshi's design and began collaborating with him to further develop Bitcoin. In October of 2009, the first exchange rate was published, listing the value of 1,309 Bitcoins at $1. Bitcoins were cheap, and through the following year, they continued to trade for fractions of a cent. In the spring of 2010, a Florida man named Laszlo decided to try using his Bitcoins to purchase something. He offered 10,000 Bitcoins to anyone who would buy him pizza. A man in London accepted and placed a long-distance phone call, ordering him 2 pizzas from Papa John's. This is generally acknowledged as the first Bitcoin transaction for a tangible good. Bitcoin was gaining momentum, but in order for it to thrive, the coins needed to be more widely accessible. A Tokyo-based exchange named Mt. Gox was the first on the scene to take hold of the marketplace, and trading volume started to pick up. By November 2010, already 4 million Bitcoins had been mined, and the exchange price briefly spiked to 50 cents per coin. The market awoke, and Bitcoin was starting to look like it might have real potential as a currency.
His name is Julian Assange. Assange and his colleagues collect confidential information and then make it public.
The release of 250,000 State Department documents no doubt presents a serious dilemma for this country.
Following a massive release of secret U.S. diplomatic cables, donations to WikiLeaks were blocked by Bank of America, Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, and Western Union. an article in PC World suggested that Bitcoin could be used as a workaround to send donations to WikiLeaks. One of Satoshi's last known posts was in response to the article and stated, "It would have been nice to get this attention in any other context. WikiLeaks has kicked the hornet's nest, and the swarm is headed towards us." Shortly after that, Satoshi disappeared from the forums and was never heard from again. 2 months later, the Silk Road Anonymous Marketplace was launched. It functioned as an online black market for drugs and other illicit goods, and used Bitcoin exclusively because it made the money trail nearly impossible to trace. The Silk Road caught the attention of New York Senator Charles Schumer, who was outraged and publicly called for a crackdown on the site.
Heroin, opium, cannabis, ecstasy, psychedelics, stimulants. It's unbelievable.
Throughout all this, the exchange price continued to climb. By February of 2011, Bitcoin reached parity with the US dollar, sparking an influx of new users and speculators. By June, the price had soared to a peak of $31 before it came crashing down. As the market tanked, the Mt. Gox exchange was hacked, further shaking the confidence of investors and hammering the price all the way down to the $2 range by October. While Bitcoin enthusiasts kept hope, skeptics were quick to share their hindsights and rants on blogs and in news articles. Many thought that the party was over and that Bitcoin was on its way out.
I went online and I bought 1 Bitcoin last night.
Really? It's the future.
I don't know. It didn't feel real.
Oh, real's gonna change. Just watch.
Today I sent a total of 2,700 Bitcoins to Butterfly Labs. I purchased basically a custom designed Bitcoin mining supercomputer. If Bitcoin fails, everything I have is worthless. The Bitcoins I have, the computers, the mining systems, was all a waste of money. But if it succeeds, then it will have been worth it, I think. The Bitcoin economy was a wild west in cyberspace that was very attractive to hackers and scammers. Over the years, tens of thousands of coins had been stolen, and 2012 proved no different. Users had to be careful.
If somebody steals your Bitcoins, there are no consumer protections. Sorry, they're gone. You lost your Bitcoins, they're gone, and you're not going to get them back.
But after months of stagnation on the exchanges, the Bitcoin price was on the rise again. The price of Bitcoin today is around $7 USD, which has had a nice little bump this week. By the end of the year, the blogging site WordPress announced it would start accepting Bitcoin payments. And in early 2013, the discussion forum Reddit also announced Bitcoin support. They were the first major sites to incorporate Bitcoin, and these milestones signaled the beginning of mainstream acceptance.
Bitcoin is the most subversive technology on the planet. This is a system that is growing around the entire world. So if it works, if this experiment continues to grow, it doesn't just help a few of us in this state or in the country, but it actually helps everyone around the world.
As the Bitcoin price hovered around its previous all-time high of $31, I visited a libertarian conference in New Hampshire.
It lost 20% and then it gained 20% in 20 minutes. It was silly.
Libertarians are among the earliest adopters of Bitcoin. Its nature as a currency that isn't controlled by central banks makes it attractive to this community.
Once I was able to kind of grok the basic concept, it was just like, this is the perfect money.
This is what a Bitcoin address looks like. Think of this long string of characters as an account number where your Bitcoins are stored. When you send or receive Bitcoins, they are sent to these addresses. The addresses are long and hard to remember, so using a phone to scan a QR code is a fast and easy way to read them. Another good thing to know is that Bitcoins can be broken down to 8 decimal places. This means that you can send fractions of a Bitcoin, so any amount of money can be represented. With Bitcoin, every transaction is public. Everyone can see the amount that's being sent without necessarily knowing the identity of the sender. These guys even have one of the first Bitcoin ATMs.
You just scan your QR code on your phone, put in the dollar bills, and press the button. Bam, done.
Perfect.
You now traded your worthless piece of paper for real currency.
It's like in the Fed. It's like
seriously think you're going to end the Fed. You're not going to end the Fed. You're not going to change anything about the Fed.
Transcend.
Bypass the Fed. That's what you should do.
My concern is how the governments will react. They can't kill or stop Bitcoin, but they could impede it and they could get in the way of its development.
A few weeks later, across the ocean, a financial crisis was reaching a breaking point on the island of Cyprus.
Cyprus is on the brink of going bust. The rest of Europe has agreed to a bailout, but only if Cyprus raids people's bank accounts for quick hard cash.
People trying to get money out of the cash machines, but electronic transfers have been stopped.
Never did I think that they would, in a completely unprecedented manner, resort to stealing money from people's bank accounts.
The Cypriots had placed their trust in the banking system, and it had failed them. As news of the crisis spread around the world, Bitcoin believers were quick to point it out as an example of why a currency free from government control is needed.
There's actually Bitcoin ATMs apparently being set up in Cyprus.
All of a sudden, Bitcoin looks like an attractive prospect.
While this was happening in Cyprus, regulators at the US Treasury weighed in on Bitcoin. The Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, known as FinCEN, issued its first regulatory guidance on virtual currencies. The guidance implied that Bitcoin, in and of itself, was not illegal. It was the perfect storm. The situation in Cyprus suggested that Bitcoin could function as a financial safe haven.
One guy
the approving nod of US
guys came
regulators
up
was
for
a green
us,
light
so
for investors. The market agreed,
All right,
and
I'm
the
back.
exchange price continued to climb.
Oh yeah, man.
Moving from the super early adopter phase to possibly the early adopter phase.
I need just
Bitcoin
to
was getting
upload something.
international exposure.
One click. Wait a
People
second.
were starting to pay
Just-
I don't have to go back to
This
work.
is actually a live updated map of the globe, and the lines represent Bitcoin
I'm a
clients,
fucking
basically
game it like
where
crazy.
the Bitcoin software is running. And the length of the line determines how long it's been online or how active it's been. And every time I look at
Okay,
this,
I'm
I
ready.
swear it gets more and more saturated. You can almost see an outline of the U.S. now. South
Oh, yeah.
America, you can get it. But the big news, in my opinion, is this:
Hardcore.
China, you used to
3, 2, 1, Q. Q. Everybody queue up.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the beginning of that documentary. If you want to watch it later, the link is available in the panels below under most valuable information on the planet. It's I'm pretty sure it's the first link, the PrimeWire link. You'll read the details beside it, it'll tell you. But anyway, yeah, it's an excellent documentary. It's very interesting. Bitcoins are probably the best invention since the internet. Definitely check it out. And if we had another break today, I'll continue where we left off. Fairly exhausted though. Hopefully I feel more energized now that I ate.
Oh no, you're gonna get sleepy and want to go to bed.
I did, I had a surprise hit. I ain't gonna go to bed. Not for another like 3 hours probably. Maybe 2. Sure. I might go watch something soon though and just relax for like a couple hours. Like an hour at least. To wind down my brain. Get in a lower wave state. You know, one day I hope I can get enough people in a BR to agree to not kill each other, where like 100 fucking people get like a first place tie, because we're all like in first. That'd be just fucking crazy. We just all sit and wait for the server to just see what we get. That'd be pretty